Tom Ward is a captain of industry, a soft-spoken, faithful, and humble captain of industry. It's no secret that the oil and gas business has been good to Tom Ward. Forbes had him listed in the top 400 richest Americans. He was ranked 220. Tom Ward didn't set out to get noticed. He was raised in Sealing, Oklahoma, population 800. He's a small-town boy at heart.
As I look back on today, because everyone in our town was basically the same. So it's always been, I've felt a blessing to be able to be raised the way I was, because my classmates were all just like me, and there really wasn't a different class system. And I was always fairly athletic, just for a small town, so it was nice. I was seen as a popular person just because of athletics.
In the small school, he was a standout athlete, playing all the sports. He was raised on a farm and learned to work with his hands. His father was a horse trainer. He died when Tom was 16.
He was a very hard worker, a farmer. We actually trained racehorses.
After graduation, the question of what he was going to do with his life still remained.
I actually was not planning to go to college, and I was making a nice little living with my mother and working in western Oklahoma as a saltwater trucking company, until one day it was extremely cold, and I just thought there's really a better way to do it. I worked my way through college at a horse farm, and I never really liked horses that much anyway, so it's the only thing I knew how to do.
He had found his path, and soon after, his faith.
Well, I had a fairly dramatic conversion when I was 17. And my wife's family have always been very strong Christians. And that was, the church in my life have been intertwined since I was very young, and that's still continues today.
His high school sweetheart was now his wife.
In December of 1980, we moved to Clinton because we wanted to be in western Oklahoma. And so I had choices at that time of really going anywhere in the country that I wanted to work, either Dallas, Oklahoma City, Denver, or any place, Houston, that had oil business. And we chose to go to a small town just because we grew up in a small town and we wanted to be within driving distance of our family. My wife started keeping a daycare center in our little 900 square foot house, and I went to work for a local family combining wheat.
Trusted family and friends helped him get started in his own oil and gas business.
Well, it's called TLW Investments, and that is the company that I founded using some of their seed capital, investing alongside of me, and well, at that time investing with me because I didn't have enough money to invest myself. And ultimately, that's how I met Aubrey McClendon. Was our two companies, his company Chesapeake Investments and my company TLW Investments. We were both looking for the same type of projects in 1983.
He worked on his own for a number of years before teaming up with another young oilman, Aubrey McClendon.
From 1983 until 1989, we worked on a handshake partnership where we each had separate offices. However, we shared expenses. And so we participated together in over 600 wells during those 6 years. And it was really a very good time of growth for us, and at a time when the industry wasn't doing very well. And by the time 1989 came along, we felt like we had seen enough wells drilled, we had enough capital ourselves to invest, and decided to become operators of our own oil and gas wells. And that was the key to forming Chesapeake.
The whirlwind of growth had begun.
In true Chesapeake style, we didn't start with the first well, we started with the first 2 wells. So they continue to be very aggressive today, and that started us on a road to become a public company by 1993. Each step of the way of growth of Chesapeake was really just a function of us needing more capital or finding opportunities that made us go and say, here's what we want to do at this time.
He was president and chief operating officer at Chesapeake. It was successful beyond his dreams. He had a loving family. But Tom found himself seeking something new.
I just felt like it was time for me to go ahead and step down. I didn't really have any intention of buying directly into another company. However, this opportunity did arise very shortly after I resigned.
Sandridge is his new, smaller venture, one he plans to stay with for years to come. At Sandridge, there's room to breathe, room to grow, and perhaps time to think about other things, like basketball. He thinks our city is ready for an NBA team.
For me, my role is to have Oklahoma City to have a team. I can't tell you if it's going to be a team from Seattle or somewhere else, but I plan to be involved in helping that happen.
His other passion is for a special group of young men in the community. With his son Trent, Tom established Whitefields, a facility to help troubled teens, often forgotten by society, to get back on track.
We did a lot of study and looked at a lot of different types of kids that could be classified as an orphan, but came away with one particular class of children that have been the most severely abused that maybe don't fit in traditional foster care. These kids their parents have been stripped of parental rights. They've been abused more so than a normal child in the DHS care, and have usually came out of in-house psychiatric care before they come into Whitefields. And our goal is to give them a place to stabilize instead of being in 15 homes in a year and cascading through the system. They're kind of at the bottom rung, so there's really no place else for them to go once you get to Whitefields, and that can have a stabilizing effect on a young person. Our goal is to have each of the kids just be a tax-paying citizen, and the unfortunate truth would be if it weren't for a place like this, that these kids would end up more than likely in prison. And it's just because the opportunities that are given to them are very few.
Tom Ward, a small-town boy who follows his heart and leads through gestures and quiet faith. He is most welcomed into the Oklahoma City University Hall of Honor.